Today, I'm going to cover the Cato framework. So this is a framework we use to make sure we generate as much email revenue as possible. So this is broken down into four main elements. The first one, C for capture. Second one, automate. Third one, deploy. And then fourth, optimize. Okay. So first things first, I want to cover capture. So basically about everything about your pop-up, your lead capturing system, right? You need to optimize your pop-up. Why? Because your pop-up is the entire backbone of your entire email marketing strategy, and it should convert at least 5% of your traffic. If you're not getting enough people through your pop-up, through your sign-up form, then you will not make as much money as possible because you'll be having fewer people enter email flows, your email list, and then make less money. So one of the first steps when we're, for example, onboarding a new brand is making sure the pop-up converts at least 5% of your traffic, both on mobile and desktop. And I'm going to cover right now what are the different elements you can maybe test inside your Klaviyo or Omnisend or whatever ESP you're using. First things first, we've got the offer. Offer is king when it comes to your pop-up performance, right? But other elements you can maybe test, we've got the design and copy. So all these elements, button colors, photos, sizing, formatting, having a first question versus no first question. And then third, we've got triggers. So here, this is where another element you can maybe test, meaning time delays, exiting intent or not triggers, scroll percentage. And here, I mean, there's not a lot you can do here. If you A/B test like extremes, for example, showing the product immediately versus 20 seconds later, that's an A/B test that's worth running, right? But other than that, other than extremes, it doesn't make any sense and doesn't really move the needle forward, to be honest. Another thing which is very important at the pop-up level is collecting zero-party data. So this is where you ask people further questions because typically with a pop-up, you only they basically give you a percentage in exchange for your email address. Beyond that, what we want to do is ask questions. For example, here we've got the offer, and then we've got tell us what's your goal, and then you can select the goal. What this does is that you can actually acquire this data, and then, for example, at the welcome series level, have different conditional splits based on what the person responded, and then have more of a copy that resonates more with the audience, with that specific person. And to be honest, like most brands don't do this, but this is extremely, extremely powerful because you get data on your customers, and this helps acquisition teams. This helps product development, for example, and then you'll be able to understand your customers way, way better. So this is really powerful. If you can implement this right away, it'd be awesome. Okay. Moving on. Let's talk about automation. So flows. You need to build a complete flow infrastructure. Okay. Why are flows crucial? Because you'll be able to generate revenue 24/7 on autopilot. This is in most cases when you have a complete flow infrastructure. This is going to generate money on autopilot forever, right? So it also taps into every stage of the funnel. For example, someone who signs up, someone who abandons cart, a post-purchase sequence, you can tap into every stage of that customer journey. And then, as I mentioned before, this is going to be low maintenance. So once you set this up, you typically don't do much other than A/B tests and just potentially improving the content. But once it's done, it's pretty much done. And this is really, really important. So core flows that drive 80% of the results are three main ones. Welcome series, of course, this is by far the most important flow you can ever have for your brand. So because crafting a strong first impression, and it guides new subscribers towards their first purchase. That's why the welcome series is so, so important, right? Second, we've got the good old abandoned checkout. So this helps incentivize and create urgency to recover lost sales. This is classic flow as well. And then thirdly, we've got the thank you or post-purchase sequence. So it reinforces loyalty, shows appreciation, and suggests like additional offers, i.e. upsells or cross-sells. It basically reduces buyer's remorse. So if you can just set three flows, I would actually highly recommend you setting up these three right here. These are by far, in our experience, the most important flows you can ever have, especially the welcome series. If you're going to spend time on flows, make sure the welcome series is completely dialed in, the first few emails of the welcome series, right? Some welcome series examples, one of the most important concepts that I'm going to cover later is making sure the above default section, so before the first scroll on your mobile, has all the elements about your offer, the most important message on your design, right? And then abandoned checkout examples, very straightforward, as you know, with a dynamic product block here with the abandoned products, and then a thank you example. Typically, thank you flows are potentially more educational because you want to teach people how to use your products correctly to avoid refunds in the future as well, right? Now, other flows are also very important, are the site abandonment. So this is when someone goes to the website and they just leave without viewing any product or doing anything else. Browse abandonment. So when someone visits a product page. Abandoned cart, which is different than the abandoned checkout. The abandoned checkout is when someone leaves at the checkout page. The abandoned cart is when someone clicks the add to cart button and they leave the website. We've got the customer win back as well. And then we've got the sunset engage, which is mainly for cleaning your email list. Okay. These are really, really important as well to set up. But of course, as I mentioned before, 80% of the revenue generated through flows are typically is going to come from like those three flows I mentioned before. Welcome series, abandoned checkout, and thank you flow. Now, very important. You need to focus on the first few emails of the flows. So optimizing subject lines, CTAs, and content as they carry the highest impact. Again, especially when it comes to the most important flows, make sure you optimize those first few emails, those like first 1 to 2 and 3 emails, because again, that's going to carry the highest impact when it comes to revenue. Second, personalization and dynamic content. So enhance engagement by tailoring emails to user preferences and behavior. That's why I talked about zero-party data. So if you can collect that data at the pop-up level, you can tailor the welcome series accordingly, for example, if that makes sense. All right. Let's talk about deploy. So basically those broadcast campaigns, one-off campaigns. So far, to recap, we've covered pop-ups, we've covered flows, so automations, and now I'm going to cover campaigns, so one-off campaigns, those broadcast campaigns we send every week. Now, you need a content calendar with a mix of promotional and non-promotional content. Big mistake I see all the time when auditing a Klaviyo account is people like brands primarily like they only send promotional and sales-focused campaigns. And this is a big mistake because again, we want to nurture people, we want to educate people, and we want to make sure like people are interested in the content we actually send, right? If you send salesy emails all the time, one, you'll be accustoming people to only purchase from you when you have a sale, and two, it's very boring, right? So this is the step-by-step process we use to build a powerful and balanced email calendar. So first things first, we look at popular, of course, holiday celebrations, your Black Friday, Women's Day, Father's Day, whatever it is, very typical. Make sure you basically build your calendar around this in the beginning. So this is the first step, right? Very straightforward and very, of course, classic as well. So yeah, your Mother's Day, Black Friday, Women's Day, Father's Day, etc., etc., etc. Okay. Second step is niche celebrations. So what does that mean? For example, if you have a pet supplements brand, right? You can have a pet day sale or something like that, or Earth Day if you have a Earth conscious brand, or here Bikini Day or skin cancer awareness month, right? So utilize those special holidays to build your email calendar. Of course, make sure you select the ones that are relevant to your audience and to your industry and your brand overall as well. So yeah, that's the second step. Look at these celebrations. Third, good old social proof testimonial compilations. So make sure we actually send these types of emails, at least a couple of these a month. So essentially a testimonial compilation email. And especially if you select very strategic testimonials that actually cover, for example, very common objections, then it's even better, right? These are very powerful. These are typically very easy to make as well. And they just always crush it for our clients as well. Fourth, we've got a product collection features, how to use or like brands, our emails going over unique selling points of your products. So here, very straightforward. These are by nature a bit more quote unquote salesy because it's more product focused, but it's all good because you'll have the balanced email calendar here. Okay. Fifth, we've got educational content. We've got blog content, influencer collaborations. So you can either link to a blog you you created, or you can just basically have the condensed version of the blog content inside your email, or just basically make sure you provide value to your audience and educate your audience. There are very interesting industries out there, and it doesn't really matter what industry you're in. You can always teach something to your audience. So make sure you have educational content inside your email calendar, okay? And finally, very straightforward, flash sales. So this is a flash sale, right? These are good from time to time, like once a month, for example, to accelerate sales and make sure you squeeze again as much as you can from your audience. Very straightforward here. Now, very important things when it comes to campaigns is, as I mentioned in the beginning, focus on design optimization over aesthetics. What do I mean by that? Your above default section is your hook. So think about Facebook ads. Within the first 3 seconds of your ad are probably the most important part of that specific ad. So people must understand the offer, the angle of the email within the first 3 seconds. Again, the above default section is everything that comes before the first scroll on your mobile. For example, here, I took these screenshots with my mobile, right? With my phone. And so this is what I got from the get-go. So this is what I mean by having an optimized above default section is everything is before the first scroll. I mean, the headline, some accompanying body copy, and then a first CTA here as well, right? Yes, I mentioned before, the headline, first subheadline, and CTA, and first CTA should all be above default, ideally. Don't waste valuable real estate as most people screen through the emails. For example, here, in these 2 examples, they just don't give any context, and they're just basically wasting their email real estate. Here, like cover stories, and that's pretty much it. What does that mean, right? Most people will actually close the email, and that's pretty much it. So make sure that, again, that first section of your email is completely optimized as well, okay? Second concept, which is really important, is having a healthy campaign cadence. Most brands send like 2 campaigns a month, and that's just and call it quits, right? A consistent cadence of 3 or 4 campaigns per week keeps your brand top of mind, increasing opens and click rates. So make sure, for most brands, a healthy cadence, healthy frequency is between 2 and 3 emails. If you send amazing content, believe me, you won't piss people off, because most brands think that they'll basically have a high spam rate just because they send more emails. It's not the case whatsoever. Again, make sure the content you send is interesting. Now, on the other hand, in general, for most brands doing over $10 million a year, more than 6 emails a week can potentially overwhelm your subscribers and lead to unsubscribes. So keep it between 3 and 4 emails a week, right? And that just this alone is going to increase your overall revenue tremendously. So make sure you bump up your email cadence. Now, some few words on segmentation. So it is extremely important to send campaigns to tailor to customer behavior, preferences, and purchasing patterns, right? So the core segments we use at the agency, we don't overcomplicate things. We've got like four core segments. First one being the prospects. So engage contacts who have not placed an order yet, right? We've got new customers. 1 order overall time, purchased recently. Third, active customers. So 2+ orders and purchased recently. And finally, lapsed customers. So these are previous customers who have not placed an order recently. So if you can just take a screenshot of this, that'd be awesome, because these are the honestly like the 4 segments you need, and that's pretty much it. A lot of agencies tend to overcomplicate segmentation just to make them look smart, right? But overall, 80% of the results, 90% of the results will come from these segments right here. Now, finally, let's talk about the optimized sort of things. So you must optimize A/B tests constantly, and this is extremely, extremely important. You see, the first thing you need to do is have a hypothesis. When A/B testing, basically A/B testing just for the sake of A/B testing, will result in a waste of time and lack of efficiency, right? So before A/B testing, a component of your email marketing strategy should always have a goal and hypothesis in mind. So we basically follow a scientific method. We have an observation, we ask ourselves a question, we basically put together a hypothesis, we run the experiment, i.e. the A/B test, we have a conclusion, result, and we track it for future reference. And this is really important. Now, Another thing after that is basically find your KPI. So you're not always going to aim to increase the place order metric, right? You have multiple KPIs. With some tests, for example, even if they impact the place order rate or the revenue generated metric indirectly, the goal is to improve other vanity metrics. So depending on the A/B test you run, it's really important to define the KPI you're trying to maximize. We've got place order rate, we've got click rate, we've got open rate, we've got opt-in rate. So these are all KPIs we try to maximize. And I'm going to cover later what types of A/B tests you should run at all times, okay? Another thing which is really important is track your results. So with everything in life, what gets measured gets managed, as you know, right? So when running an A/B test, make sure you write down the results you get from it for future reference. If your goal is to maximize your email marketing revenue, then you will most likely be running multiple A/B tests simultaneously. And this is something you must do, like run A/B tests all the time, right? Let's dive into what to A/B test now. First things first, pop-ups, of course. Because a low sign-up rate, as I basically alluded to in the beginning, equals a way lower email revenue because fewer people will enter email funnels and you'll not grow your email list as quickly, right? Now, there are 4 main elements you can A/B test inside your pop-up. And these are the 4 main elements I basically explained in the beginning as well. First one, the offer, then the triggers, then the design, then the copy. These are all the elements you can A/B test inside your pop-up. And again, the offer is by far the biggest needle mover. So if you've only got time to test one variable inside your pop-up, make it your offer, okay? Next, we've got campaign components and formatting. So, for example, graphic-based versus text-based. This is one of our favorite A/B tests to run at the campaign level. Lots of brands underutilize and underestimate the power of text-based campaigns. So we like to A/B test graphic-based versus text-based campaigns, especially when running a promotion. Test this with your brand because the results might shock you. So what do I mean by this? For example, if we're running, I don't know, a 20% flash sale, we've got the same content in graphic-based format and then text-based format. What do I mean by text-based? I mean this, like something coming from the founder, for example, in this case, from the founder of Lofty. It's like he's sending the email directly from his Gmail account, right? Hi there, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, we've got the signature, founder and CEO Lofty. This works really well. And it's really easy to produce as well, right? And then second thing you could test is the campaign elements. I mean, every email, it's going to be a compilation of modules, right? So when putting together an email, you can plan around the elements you decide to use and maybe test what formats and tend to work better. For example, here, essentially, so we've got social proof, product highlights, comparison tables, charts, guarantees, and PR. So in one email, you could have, for example, the same header, and then below that, you have social proof. On another one, same header, but instead of like doing social proof, you can have a product highlight and see what elements tend to work better and generate more revenue, right? Next, we've got the sending day and time, pretty straightforward. So aim to maximize open rates when A/B testing sending day and time. Of course, don't do this with time-sensitive promos. For example, a 24-hour flash sale. Doesn't make any sense. So Mondays versus weekends versus morning, late afternoon, evening, whatever. A/B test your campaigns to see exactly what moves the needle more with your brand. Every industry, every brand is different. So make sure you A/B test this as well. And then finally, subject lines in high impact flows. As simple as it may sound, testing subject lines in the first few emails of some high impact flows could make a huge difference to your email performance. So as I mentioned before, those high income flows are, of course, the welcome series, abandoned checkout, and post purchase. So make sure you A/B test the subject lines on the first few emails of those flows right here, as you'll see a huge uplift in revenue if you're able to maximize that open rate right there. Bonus, let's talk about deliverability, which is basically trying to maximize the chances of you landing in the primary or promotions tab instead of the spam folder, right? Really, really important. Now, why is great deliverability important? What's the point of having great emails if they all land in the spam folder, right? The first thing a brand should do is make sure that the emails are just spend a bunch of time creating, strategizing, land in inbox folder. So before focusing on content ideation strategy, focus on making sure, your send reputation, your delivery is on point. Okay. So how can you spot damage deliverability? Two main ways. First one is you've seen a drop in your open rates below 30%. So for example, for the past 90 days, if you see that your open rates across all the campaigns are below 30, it means there's a huge problem right now with your deliverability. And then we've got the Google Postmaster as well. So this will give you great insights into the current domain health. Most brands, agencies ignore this tool, and this is extremely powerful. Now, finally, how to fix damage on deliverability. Step 1, clean email lists from unengaged, bounce, and market spam emails. So to improve and maintain strong deliverability, it is essential to suppress the following segments. Bounce emails, so that includes hard bounces and soft bounces. Market spam emails, so this is people who mark you as spam. And then finally, unengaged contacts. These are people who have not interacted with your emails or your brand really in a long time. So it doesn't make sense to have them in there as well, right? So these are all the conditions for this. This is the bounce email segment. This is the market spam segment. And this one is the unengaged segment as well, okay? And then step 2 is basically turning off non-crucial flows. So apart from the welcome flow, browse abandonment, cart and checkout abandonment, and thank you flow, other flows generally don't deliver high engagement rates. So to maximize engagement metrics, at least in long term and in short term, it's best to concentrate on these high performing flows only. So you can basically turn off this right here, right? At least in the short term, just to maximize your engagement metrics. And then finally, send to engaged customers only. So start with 15 days engaged for a couple of weeks or 3 to 5 emails. Monitor your open rates. If they are above 50%, you can expand time window to 30 days instead of 15. If they're below 50, you can keep sending to this segment for an extra 3 to 5 emails. And then repeat this process until you expand to engage 180.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.